Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Psalm chapter 84, verses 1 through 4. How amiable, O Yahweh of hosts, my soul longeth, yea, for the courts of Yahweh. My heart and my flesh cried out for the living Elohim. Yea, the sparrow has found an house, and the swallow a nest for herself, where she may lay her young, even your altars, O Yahweh of hosts, my King and my Elohim. Blessed are they that dwell in your house. They will be still praising you.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, Down in My Soul.
Down in my soul cries holy. Oh, down in my soul cries holy. Down in my soul, in my sanctified soul, down in my soul cries holy. Down in my soul cries holy. Oh, down in my soul cries holy. Down in my soul, in my sanctified soul, in my sanctified soul, cries holy. Just like Yahshua, we gotta be holy. Oh, just like Yahshua, we gotta be holy. Just like Yahshua, in our sanctified soul, in our sanctified soul, we gotta be holy. Just like Yahshua, we gotta be holy. Oh, just like Yahshua, we gotta be holy. Just like Yahshua, in our sanctified soul, in our sanctified soul, we gotta be holy. We gotta be holy. Down in my soul, we gotta be holy. Oh, down in my soul cries holy. Down in my soul, in my sanctified soul, in my sanctified soul, cries holy. Down in my soul cries holy. Oh, down in my soul cries holy. Down in my soul, in my sanctified soul, in my sanctified soul, in my sanctified soul, in my sanctified
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Lithonia, Georgia. As we look out at the things that are going on in the world, we can tell that things are advancing. And we have to pay attention in who is doing what. When Yahweh talks about redeeming the children of Israel, he speaks very clearly that he will not give his glory unto another. So when it comes down to redeeming us, he's not going to allow someone else to do it. He's not going to allow someone else to get the credit for what he's about to do, his act, his strange act, as he calls it. And when you examine the things that are taking place, you find that all of these coalition of nations have gotten together to establish the current state of Israel. When we look at what's written, that's not what we find in this book. Yahweh says he's going to invite the nations to come up and take a part of judgment for the controversy of his land. Yet what we see is happening right now is the nations are actually with the state of Israel. So then we have to ask ourselves, is there a difference between the state of Israel and the people of Israel? Because what's written does not coincide with all of the nations having some kind of coalition being with Yahweh's people. It just does not agree. So we're going to get into some things, and it goes down to just the base part of Yahweh's law concerning redemption. And that base part of redemption then goes all the way up to deal with the nation as a whole. So we're going to begin today's sermon in Leviticus chapter 25, and we're going to start reading that at verse 23. Leviticus 25, and start at verse 23.
Verse 23. The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine, for you are strangers and sojourners with me.
All right, the land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine. You cannot sell that which you do not own. See, with Yahweh, what ends up happening is we hear off and on about trust and how a trust is set up, whereas it's what people put their belongings in to protect it. So if someone sues you, you don't really own it. The trust owns it. So when dealing with Yahweh, it's amazing that you have to have trust to believe in Yahweh. But here we go. The land is on a trust relationship with us, meaning that we get to use the land. We get to do whatever we need to do with the land, but ultimately the land does not belong to you. It belongs to the trust of Yahweh. So when it comes down to selling, you can't sell that. You don't own that. The trust owns that. Yahweh owns that. So there are certain things that when it passes the part of usage, now you're getting into the trust area, and now you're about to have some problems because he allowed for you to use it. And is that enough for us? Because a lot of times we want to have the stamp of ownership, but is that really important? Go ahead.
And in all the land of your possession you shall grant a redemption for the land. If your brother be waxen poor, and has sold away some of his possession, and if any of his kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which his brother sold. And if the man have none to redeem it, and himself be able to redeem it, then let him count the years of the sale thereof, and restore the overplus unto the man to whom he sold it, that he may return unto his possession. But if he be not able to restore it to him, then that which is sold shall remain in the hand of him that has bought it until the year of Jubilee. And in the Jubilee it shall go out, and he shall return unto his possession. And if a man sell a dwelling house in a walled city, then he may redeem it within a whole year after it is sold. Within a full year may he redeem it. And if it be not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be established forever to him that bought it throughout his generations. It shall not go out in the Jubilee. But the houses of the villages which have no wall round about them shall be counted as the fields of the country. They may be redeemed, and they shall go out in the Jubilee. Notwithstanding, the cities of the Levites and the houses of the cities of their possession may the Levites redeem at any time. And if a man purchase of the Levites, then the house that was sold and the city of his possession shall go out in the year of Jubilee. For the houses of the cities of the Levites are their possession among the children of Israel. But the field of the suburbs of their cities may not be sold, for it is their perpetual possession. And if your brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with you, then you shall relieve him, yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with you. Take you no interest of him or increase, but fear your Elohim, that your brother may live with you. You shall not give him your money upon interest, nor lend him any victuals for increase.
Now, I need you to pay attention to those things right there. Verse 35, and if your brother be waxen poor and fallen into decay with you, then you shall relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with you. Take you no interest of him or increase. All right? So, verse 37, you shall not give him your money upon interest, nor lend him your victuals for increase. There is a certain code that it's is given right here, and it's about if it's your brother. I need for you to pay attention to that, because as we get down into some secular things, I want you to remember what is written in this law and how people are conducting certain businesses, and then you'll find out, okay, are they brothers then? Go ahead.
I am Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your El. And if your brother that dwells by you be waxen poor, and be sold unto you, you shall not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as an hired servant, and as a sojourner. He shall be with you, and shall serve you unto the year of Jubilee. And then shall he depart from you, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family, and unto the possession of his fathers shall he return. For they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondmen. You shall not rule over him with rigor, but shall fear your Elohim.
All right, so Yahweh reserves the right to deal with the children of Israel according to our obedience or disobedience. But how we have to deal with one another and how the nations are allowed to deal with us outside of his punishment is something altogether different. For Yahweh will allow and put us in the hands of our enemies for judgment against us, and then turn around and deal with the enemy for how bad they crossed the line. Go ahead.
Both your bondmen and your bondmaids, which you shall have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall you buy bondmen and bondmaids. Moreover, of the children of strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall you buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. And you shall take them as inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, you shall not rule one over another with rigor.
And understand, there's still conditions of how this is how Yahweh regulated servitude. Okay, so if the children of Israel are in a possession, a situation where we have possessions and servants and things of that nature, there are certain rules and regulations of how you're going to be able to deal with that. You can't just mistreat somebody because you have power over this situation. Even when it comes down to a war situation and they're captives, and it says a man sees a beautiful woman. All right, the males no longer exist. He sees a beautiful woman. He has to deal with this situation, whether or not, okay, he wants that woman. Once he crosses that line and is with that woman physically, he can no more sell that woman as a servant. Now, just consider that, and consider how much Yahweh just took care of by putting that in there. See, that makes you, there's a line in between your pocket and your zipper, right there. Right there, he put a line right there. Let me tell you something. That's how you run. Hey, that right there control the world right there. If you can put a line in between your pocket and your zipper, let me tell you something. Let me tell you, Yahweh is a genius, absolute genius. Because he said, once your zipper go down, hey, ain't no more finances coming over there. Now, you sure this is what you want to do? You sure this is what if I hear zzz, it's a done deal. We over. All right, so we done made our decision, right? This is what we gonna do. So you are forbidden to make merchandise after you have crossed that line. See, the nation said they ain't never heard such a rule. See, they got the book. And they claim to be holy, but they have never heard such a rule. I didn't see that in there. Yeah, because you wasn't looking. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And if a sojourner or stranger wax rich by you, and your brother that dwells by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner by you, or to the stock of the stranger's family, after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brethren may redeem him. Either his uncle or his uncle's son may redeem him, or any that is near of kin unto him of his family may redeem him. Or if he be able, he may redeem himself.
All right. Now, when you talk about you have certain individuals who may be able to redeem this person. If you go back and look at some of the slave narrative, you'll find that some of them were able to work and redeem themselves. In other situations, they would not allow them an opportunity to ever redeem themselves, and they would use a false taxation system to make sure that you never had enough money to redeem yourself. They would place a price of redemption, but then make sure that you would never reach it. So it was a glass ceiling. You can see that it's there, but you'll never be able to reach it. You'll never be able to get past that. So then when we discuss that, I want to mention something. Now, the Declaration of Independence was adopted by the Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776. The 13 American colonies severed their political connections to Great Britain. So at this point, a nation that came out of a nation became our biggest oppressor. So that's something that we have to put in our thought process. And why do we have to, put that on the shelf? Because at this point, when we start looking at if somebody is in an issue and their brother or their kin may be able to redeem them, this is going to be some interesting information as we go on further. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. And I mean, it's Black History Month, so I guess I can go in Deuteronomy 28, right? I can go in that. I can go, because it's been debunked by certain ish. It's been debunked, So since we can talk about Black history for these 28 days, let's why don't we then? Deuteronomy 28, and let's start at verse 32.
Your sons and your daughters shall be given unto another people, and your eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in your hand.
And if you are not the physical descendants of those ancestors, you don't want this to be read. Because all of this speaks of what's going to happen. All of this was given to the children of Israel after Egypt. So what we were hearing before was generations of generations talking about how they did things in Egypt. Well, all of these writings are about what's going to happen after Egypt. They didn't have any writings about what was going to happen in Egypt. That they were already living that. So you can't produce Egypt as an excuse for what is written after Egypt. You have to produce something other than that. And no matter what horrific events you produce, they are not what's written in here. We have an issue. So we have to deal with that. So if you're an individual who knows that this doesn't fit you, and you know that people are going to keep reading this, then you have to devise a way for people to stop reading this. Now, human nature is once you ban something, that people really want to go and figure out why you banned it. So, you can't ban it. So then other creative ways were found. Other books were developed. And then those books were then put on the scale of it's just as if the Most High spoke it himself. So now you start reading the opinions of priests instead of reading what Yahweh has. And then those opinions won't go into certain things. And after a while, you won't go into those things because the priest's opinion never went into those things. Go ahead.
Verse 33. The fruit of your land and all your labors shall a nation which you knoweth not eat up, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed always.
Now, it is very, very difficult to present this as being you if we owned everything. I mean, we can count the number of billionaires that we have. We can count the number of these people, and we see that if those people say the wrong thing, they won't be billionaires again. You've never seen that happen to any other billionaire, where they said something and then after they said it, they were no longer a billionaire. Show me any other billionaire that you've ever seen that happen to. Matter of fact, one billionaire said some racist words. He even said that the black Jews are like dogs in Israel. People say, yeah, they forced him out of the NBA. Yeah, but they kind of bought his stuff. So they kind of had to pay him like $3 billion. So he got richer by like using racial slurs. I mean, come on now. You tell me, you say, look, Sock, this is wrong. But if you say it, I'm going to give you $3 billion. Watch out, Jack. Watch out. Well, look here, I'm going to give you a sale. I'm going to give you 12 of them. Look here. Let's do it. All I got to do is talk. And you going to give me how much? So he came up. He didn't go down. Now he got all that money, but he don't have to work for it. He had to still run a business with that money before. Now he has the money, but don't have to run the business. How was that a problem again? It's like the way that things happen when the police shoot an unarmed black male and he get paid leave. I'm sorry, y'all. That's called a vacation. Where every job I've been in, that's called a vacation. So I'm not coming here, right? But on Friday, you telling me my check gonna be there. So you tell me, and then next Friday, my check gonna be there. And then Friday after Friday, my check gonna be there. But I'm still not coming. Oh yeah, that's called vacation. That's where I'm from. That's what that's called. I don't care what they call it. So where's the incentive to do something different? If all I got to do is when I run out of PTO, shoot Pookie at the corner store. I just got more PTO. Go ahead.
So that you shall be mad for the sight of your eyes, which you shall see. Yahweh shall smite you in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of the foot onto the top of your head.
Now, what happens if you get smitten in the knees and in the legs? What does that affect you from being able to do? Run. No, you'll still be able to walk. You just won't be able to run. Wasn't that always their problem with us? Being able to run, it like, when they take off, they fly like little crows. You can't catch these little crows. I tell you, I don't know. I was working out and everything. I can't catch them. But then they found out, we can slow them down. Just let them think it's cool to let their pants hang down. Now, every fat donut-eating cop is catching 15-year-old dudes that they never should have been able to catch. Why? Because he ain't pull his pants up. He can't run. His balance is off. And Chubby Time catching him every time. Look at Chubby done caught another one. Chubby should have never been able to catch that little boy. But the little boy pants, as he started running, goes all the way down to his knees. His sore botch in his knees is his pants. And then they told us, they wanted us to be the first ones to receive certain medication. Them people can't run no more. And that one of them people that start running after they receive certain things, they are popping. It was always a problem whenever the slaves ran. So a slave run, they cut his leg off. As a memorial and as a monument to every other slave. You see what's going to happen to you? You try this right here? You're going to end up right here. You see No Foot Paul? You're going to be like No Foot Paul. I want to be like No Foot Paul. There it is. Scared right there. So it's always been an issue. Just now they found an easier way to do it. Why cut your foot off if you got a foot but you can't use it? Because you huffing and puffing because your heart about to come out your chest. And we're talking about athletic people. We're not talking about somebody who ain't ran in 30 years. So they found better ways to do some of these things. Go ahead.
Yahweh shall bring you and your king which you shall set over you unto a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known. And there shall you serve other gods, wood and stone.
Once again, when we talk about how the children of Israel, we keep getting hit with this, oh, you don't speak the language and you don't operate in the culture. Yeah, that's kind of what the book said was going to happen to the true children of Israel. So whenever somebody tells me how much they're in the culture, how much they speak the language, how much they do all of these things, it only tells me how much I know that's not you. Because that's exactly what he said was going to happen to the children of Israel. But as we start doing this, this starts drawing a roadmap to where the true children of Israel are and who they are. Go ahead.
And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether Yahweh shall lead you.
And we know all of the proverbs and bywords that we have been called. Some of those names we have accepted on our own. Other names that were just termed us, and we had absolutely nothing to do about it. It was just given unto us. Sometimes people say it when you're around, sometimes they don't. But if Yahweh said this is what's going to happen unto you, then that's what's going to happen unto you. Then we have to look at, okay, what other group of people has all these other bywords concerning them? And you can't find any. That's also interesting. Why can't we find bywords about you? You know, if you have whole systems looking at, you know, how something might be anti this or anti that, how is it that we're not able to find any of these things? Go ahead.
And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether Yahweh shall lead you.
All nations. So he's not going to send us to one nation. You will not just get one nation and all of a sudden have the children of Israel. Well, once again, now we have to ask another question. How do you build a state of Israel out of one nation? Go ahead.
You shall carry much seed out into the field, and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it.
Now, why is that interesting? This now speaks of commerce. This speaks of financially, you're not going to be in a certain financial position. Well, then wait a minute. Now we really got to ask some questions. We really got to ask some questions. Because in every banking system, in every ownership situation, you do not find us. But you find the same other type of individuals. Now, you got to ask yourself, that don't look like the locals consuming none of your money. Now, we have to really ask ourselves some questions. Now, we have been told that blessed means money. So that, you know, our people have gotten twisted and believe that, you know, when we see somebody with money, we say, oh, they're blessed. So then when we see these other individuals who have enormous amounts of money, we say that these people are blessed. So if that's what you want to call it, go ahead and call it. But when Yahweh said you shall carry much seed out into the field and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it, you're going to have to explain some of this enormous blessing. How can you be on both sides of this equation? Go ahead.
Verse 39. You shall plant vineyards and dress them, but shall neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. You shall have olive trees throughout all your coasts, but you shall not anoint yourself with the oil, for your olive shall cast his fruit. You shall beget sons and daughters, but you shall not enjoy them, for they shall go out into captivity.
Right. What was set up in our neighborhoods were school to jail pipelines, where you go into the school and there's something that you just feel about the school. You don't know what it is until the unfortunate day that you end up in jail. And then you realize this looks just like my high school. You were conditioned to be okay when you got there, because it was always about that. It was always about getting you from that school, go through this school, and by the time you finish this school, you are automatically on your way to jail. And you're going to fit in. They're going to bring that same bell that you hear when you change classes, that same bell you're going to hear when it's time to go out to the yard. The same bell you're going to hear when it's time to go eat. And the same bell you're going to hear when it's time for check. You are being conditioned. Go ahead.
The stranger that is within you shall get up above you very high, and you shall come down very low.
Right. It is one of the saddest things sometimes when you get down to just going to buy some wine. You can't even go and buy wine from your own folks no more. You have to go to the stranger to get a bottle of wine. Now, how is that possible? How is it that somehow other nations of people own everything in our neighborhood? Well, now we got to go back to that redemption part again, where these people were given reparations for past atrocities, which gives them access to low interest loans. It gives them access to tax-free status so that they can open up businesses in our neighborhood. So it says the stranger shall get up very high. What was it? New York that decided that they're going to give the immigrants, well, how many $1 million worth of prepaid credit card? Now you got folks starving who been here, folks done served in the military, but yet an immigrant walk in here and get a prepaid credit card. We talking about somebody on 14th Street who can't spell 14 or street. How you not spell a number? How you not spell a number? I didn't even know you could spell numbers. Wrong. They can't spell a number. But they got a prepaid credit card and can buy whatever they want with this credit card. Man, you know how many drug dealers is finna get a square? Just swipe that. There you go. Yeah, all right. Well, thank you for coming to America. But here we go. We can't qualify for this. There's certain other places where it's supposed to be a homeless shelter. They don't put us out. Let the immigrants in. But now here's the question. Are they redeeming their brothers? Okay. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Now you're starting to see. Now the picture is starting to form. Why certain people are getting an enormous amount of money and other people can't get anything. You redeem your brother. Okay. Keep reading.
You know, brother, if you watch some of those same liquor stores, you can watch, if you're in the neighborhood long enough, you can watch the changing of hands. Because there's one that I know of that when I first used to go there, it was white owned. And eventually I saw the Indians come in, and now I see the Asians owning it. Like you said, that revolution don't bring us in there, though.
Nope.
We just come in there to patronize the place.
There you go.
To own it.
We come in as consumers. The entire store is full of us consuming. Okay? We are, every bit of money made in that is us. Not one of us owns one. I used to go out of my way because I found one black package store. I passed 2 other stores to get to this one. And I knew the brother prices wasn't right. But I want to help the brother. You know what I'm saying? I want to help the brother. So I might pay a little bit more for my yak. It's darker. It go down better that way. Eventually other people didn't feel the same way. See, I was the only, one of the only people. Our folks came up right away. Look, I can go to the Chinaman and I can go and get my stuff cheaper. And that's where they went. Eventually, that brother store closed down. And I for one was sad about it. I liked going in and spending money with my people. I enjoyed the way that was, going. But this is one of the ways that the stranger gets up above us. And it's not all because of the nations. We have just been so brainwashed that we will say, hey, to save 49 cents, I'm going to go to these people. 49 cents. You're going to go to another nation of people because it's 49 cents cheaper? For real? I lose 49 cents. You know how much money we have spent on things that don't even matter, and we'll get down to that and let another nation rule over us because of those little pennies. These people make millions in these little old hole-in-the-wall stores. When you go to your Little League Park, see how many of them on the wall at your Little League Park. They don't give anything to our neighborhood and take out millions. And we take it like it ain't nothing. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. And it puts a really strange thing on their lives. Because as those people own the stores, they eventually bring their sons and their daughters or working the cash register. And they're taught to stay away from us. And some of them just can't. You go and you start finding all these different nationalities. You got chiggers and wiggles and all. You trying to figure out what is all of this. They want, I won't be like you. I won't be like you. Now the China boy is trying to be, black. Now he done got a blowout kit. Now the Chinaman got cornrow. Bruh, come on. First of all, where you get that corn to get those rolls?
Come on now.
But now, being around us and watching, they're fascinated, and you can tell they family is constantly at them. Stop trying to be like these people. We over here to make money. Sooner or later, they got to make that kid leave. Another one got to come because he done spent too much time around those people. Go ahead.
I skip verse 42. All your trees and fruit of your land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within you shall get up above you very high, and you shall come down very low. He shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you, and shall pursue you, and overtake you, till you be destroyed, because you hearkened not unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed forever. Because you serve not Yahweh your Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things.
Okay, now, what's right there is the reason for slavery. But you're not going to hear that in none of these 28 or like I've been told, 29 days if it's a leap year. You're not going to be told that at all. That's the one question that will not come up. Why were we made slaves? Everybody want to talk about slavery. No. Let's talk about the base part. Why were we made slaves? Yahweh explains it. Now I understand why you want to debunk the book. Because why does he go and explain slavery, but he does not explain other events where millions of people have, lost their lives? Why would he explain slavery if it has nothing to do with his people? And why would he not explain something else that has millions of people harmed if it does have something to do with his people? Now we're starting to get somewhere, because he's explaining, you're going to serve your enemies in your enemy's land because you didn't serve me in mine. This is your punishment. This is how Yahweh deals with his people. So if you're going to find a true Israelite, you're going to find captivity in their past. I don't care how many other horrific events you may be able to find. I'm going to need you to find me a captivity. Why? Because the basis of this book, the basis of who the children of Israel are, is based upon captivity. And I don't care what else you can show me. You can show me, look, man, I went down there and man, they stole my money. They cut me on my foot. Hey, man, that's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that, but I don't see how that makes you these people. Because he said how he's going to deal with these people. I'm going to deal with these people through captivity. These people were designed to be my servants. That's what made you perfect for slavery. That's the part you ain't never going to get. Why were you made a slave? Because you was created to be a servant. And you're going to serve. The question is, who are you going to serve? You're going to serve. You get a hunting dog. Let me tell you something. I don't care what you do. That dog want to hunt. You say you take that dog out of the element. You not let the dog go outside. Guess what? The dog is in your living room hunting. It's hunting for something. And sooner or later, it's going to find something and say, this is how I'm going to fulfill this desire to hunt. So, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hunt for every left shoe. I only want the left one, though. They ain't going to tear up both shoes. No, just the left shoe of everything that you got. Say, I got to fulfill this desire for hunting somehow. You have a propensity to serve, and you have to find some way to fulfill it, or you gonna have problems, and you don't even know it. It ain't on you, it's in you. They knew that. Why go halfway across the world to go get somebody? All you got to do is, you could go down the way and get some people. Turn them around a few times, they don't know where they at. Boom, you got you some slaves and they can't make it out because they don't know. Just take them to a place they don't know of. Why go halfway across the world? These people were born for this. But they are not going to tell you that. Go ahead.
Therefore shall you serve your enemies, which Yahweh shall send against you, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
I'm going to take all those things that I would have given you, all those things that you should have had. You're going to serve your enemies, and I'm not going to give you any of it. You're going to serve your enemies. Check that out. Enemies. We have forgotten. We have done all the things that he said we should not do because we don't understand that they are our enemies. Anybody who attempts to get you to serve something other than your Elohim is your enemy. I don't care what color they are. You might have some people 4 shades blacker than you, and they are more enemy than that Gentile. Because they're the ones that's going to try to make sure that you don't serve your God in peace and in righteousness. That's your enemy. First thing they did when we got here was to change our names and make sure that we have no connection to our culture. The names that they gave us were Christian names. So they literally screwed us twice. They gave us a Christian first name and then gave us their last name. Then we walk around and brag on both. Go ahead.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck.
You won't see any other nation. Why, when we saw that little sanitized picture that I put up in Bible study, when you see some guys that look like they was about to be auctioned off, and they look like they was auctioning off some accountants or something, they were about to go and count some Roman money. Why those guys didn't have yokes on them? Why they didn't have iron? Why were they not chained up? Where are the pictures of these other nationalities being in a yoke of iron? So how do you win the sympathy game? Any way that people might feel sorry for any other group of people, make that information inadmissible. You're not allowed to speak about slavery, but other people can speak about every other atrocity that has happened to them. Matter of fact, if you say anything about it, now you're a denier. And I think we should all, every time something, you slavery denier. And I mean, just connected to stuff that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. James, were you late? Oh, you a slavery denier? I mean, I was late. But that has nothing to do with your denial of slavery. What? It seems to work for other people. It seems to work for other people. Just mention it when it ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Sir, I'm sorry we don't have any more PlayStation 5. I can't believe y'all gonna deny slavery like this. I need to play my games. Good.
Until he have destroyed you. Yahweh shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies.
Wait a minute. An end from far. A nation from the ends of the earth. Not a nation that's round about you. So that is not where you're going to be in captivity. Keep reading.
A nation whose language you shall not understand.
Wait a minute. So now it makes sense why somebody would want to debunk this book. And understand, we just jumped to half of it. We didn't even start reading the verse 32. I already see why many people would want this book debunked. Put that in the ark and shut it up. Don't let nobody get to it. I can understand why. Because there's too much information right there. Read that again.
Yahweh shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies.
What is their symbol?
Eagle.
The Romans, what was their symbol?
The eagle.
Okay. So here we go with these same connections. As swift as the eagle flies, a nation shall come against you from far. So this nation that came out of another nation is our oppressor. And both nations, that eagle was their symbol. Go ahead.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Right, they didn't care who they sold. This is the country that will call a man a boy, but then lock up a boy and charge him as a man. You can't get no more hypocritical than that. Go ahead.
And he shall eat the fruit of your cattle and the fruit of your land until you be destroyed, which also shall not leave you either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of your kind, or flocks of your sheep, until he have destroyed you. And he shall besiege you in all your gates, until your high and fenced walls come down, wherein you trusted throughout all your land. And he shall besiege you in all your gates throughout all your land, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you. And you shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and of your daughters, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you, in the siege and in the straitness, wherewith your enemies shall distress you.
And this right here is a very hard thing to read, you know, when you get right down to it. But I've found, you know, a certain kind of twisted pleasure in it. Because if he will say this, that means there's other things that he could have said if those other events that people, you know, encountered, if it was of him, this tells me that if he said that, he could have said the other thing too. But we don't find not one mention of it. So then you have to ask yourself, is Yahweh a denier? Because why didn't he say it? Go ahead.
So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he has nothing left him in the siege, and in the straitness wherewith your enemies shall distress you in all your gates.
Right. So basically, the kind of things that you're seeing in what's happening in Israel now, with all of the gates being shut off, no supplies are getting in, no water, no food. They're slowly killing and starving these people. Eventually, starved people turn into animals. Go ahead.
The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, and toward her young one that comes out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear. For she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness, wherewith your enemy shall distress you in your gates.
Now, he doesn't just mention this. He goes into deep detail concerning this. Deep detail concerning this. He doesn't just go by it. So he easily could have said something about how millions of people were going to go through this horrific thing. He could have expounded upon it so much that we would have been in this book and we would have said, oh man, this is that. We would have been able to clearly look at it. But we don't find that. And we have to ask ourselves why. Go ahead.
If you will not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear his glorious and fearful name, Yahweh your Elohim, then Yahweh will make your plagues wonderful, and the plagues of your seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon you all the diseases of Egypt, which you was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto you. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, then will Yahweh bring upon you until you be destroyed.
Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book. Yahweh said, look, I'm going to discover new diseases. And they're going right to your house. Who was that? James here. I got a disease just for you. Why do you think they said, we want y'all to be the first ones to take this? They ain't never wanted us to be first in nothing. All of a sudden, they want us to be first in something. I can't believe we bought that. If there was anything that made me suspicious, that was it. And I'm talking about it came from high up. Whenever El Presidente said that you supposed to be first, that tell me, oh no, this deep right here. All the way up to the top, they want me to be first. Oh no, something in that. Something in that. Go ahead.
And you shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because you would not obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. And it shall come to pass that as Yahweh rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And you shall be plucked from off the land, whether you go to possess it. And Yahweh shall scatter you among all people, from one end of the earth even to unto the other. And there you shall serve other gods.
Right. So anybody that talks about how they've been able to keep the culture, how they've been, around this area of the land for generations, it only tells me that this can't be you. Because one or two things has to be happening. Either Yahweh is lying or you're lying. Somebody's lying. Go ahead.
Which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Right. So the true children of Israel are going to be found in Christianity and Islam. Wood is the cross. Stone is the asteroid, the dome of the rock. That's the Muslim site. Wood and stone is Christianity and Muslim. The two biggest things that our people are into. The true children of Israel won't know that they are Israel. They will not identify as Jew. Okay. I understand why people want to debunk this book, because if I was in somebody else's body pretending to be them, I would damn sure debunk it. I would debunk that. I debunked it. I said this deserves debunking, because nobody should read this, because they're going to find out. This clearly says children of Israel are going to worship something else. Okay?
And among these nations shall you find no ease.
Wait a minute now. So now as we look at all of the redemption and help that's coming for the other nations, the immigrants even, who come among this place, and here it is, our people built this place, okay? But we get absolutely no consideration whatsoever. You shall find no ease among these nations. They have no care for how you've labored, no matter how or what you've done. The fact that it could come out of somebody's mouth, them black people lazy. This is the narrative that's being taught to young Caucasian children, that the black people are lazy. You're talking about the people who built everything that you have? The people who built this country? You telling me that they're lazy? Go ahead.
Neither shall the sole of your foot have rest, but Yahweh shall give you there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fear day and night, and shall have non-assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, would Elohim it were even, and at even you shall say, would Elohim it were morning, for the fear of your heart wherewith you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see. And Yahweh shall bring you into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto you.
There's nothing that causes more issues than this statement right here. This is, if you want to make like the air shut off in somebody's building, read this part right here. Deuteronomy 28 and 68, it makes individuals cringe because they haven't figured out how. They have all kind of ways that they've tried to so-called undo this, to debunk it. They're going to say Egypt don't mean bondage. They've tried their best to come at this at every angle. And at the end, they just have to say, look, let's just read from another book. Because every time I try to read from Yahweh book, he keep authorizing his people. And we trying to get rid of these people. We trying to let the memory of them cease. But every time we read his book, he keeps talking about his people. Y'all, let's get something else. Go ahead.
You shall see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Now we have to look up buy you. When it says buy, so when it says, this redemption, no man shall buy you. We are still they are still delivering or finding more money for people who suffered in the Holocaust. A brother put up a post where New York said they found something like 53 million or something like that for victims. All of this money is being gathered. Yet Yahweh said, no man shall redeem you. Now here's where it starts to get interesting. Not just about the money that other individuals are receiving, but if Yahweh says that no one is going to redeem you, if this is you, how are you able to get that money? So you got to learn how to look at it in more than one angle. It's not just about no man redeeming us. How are you getting redeemed? Because it doesn't fit what's in this book. How are you able to receive this payment? So let's go into the definition of buy.
Kana, from H7069, a primitive root, to erect, that is, create, by extension to procure, especially by purchase, causatively sell, by implication to own, attain, buy, buyer, teach, to keep cattle, get, provoke to jealousy, possess or possessor, purchase, recover, redeem, exsurely, verily.
All right. So the one that we have to get out of there is purchase, recover, and redeem. So then he says, no man shall redeem you. So in other words, you shall not get out of this punishment that I'm putting forward. That's very interesting when you start adding up all of the finances that other people are enduring or getting for the things that they endured. That's very interesting. But no matter what we have endured, we are not able to get any funds. That's Yahweh's doing. All right, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 14.
Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse 1. Then came certain of the elders of Israel unto me, and sat before me, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, these men have set up their idols in their heart, and put the stumbling block of their lawlessness before their face.
Jump to verse 12.
The word of Yahweh came again to me, saying, Son of man, when the land sins against me by trespassing grievously, then will I stretch out my hand upon it, and will break the staff of the bread thereof, and will send famine upon it, and will cut off man and beast from it. Though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls by their own righteousness, says the Adonai.
Though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they will deliver none but themselves. When he has uttered destruction is going to happen. All right, keep going.
If I cause noisome beasts to pass through the land, and they spoil it, so that it be desolate, that no man may pass through because of the beasts, though these three men were in it, as I live, says the Adonai, they shall deliver neither sons nor daughters. They only shall be delivered, but the land shall be desolate.
Now, if this is the case, how are others able to deliver you from a punishment that Yahweh has put you on? How are you able to receive finances or anything if Yahweh is the one who did this to you? He says once he utters destruction, nobody, I don't care if it's these three men, they ain't bringing out nobody but themselves. That's funny, he ain't mentioned Moshe. Well, you know, he did kind of talk me into not killing some people, so I'm going to leave him out of this. Go ahead.
Or if I bring a sword upon that land and say, sword, go through the land, so that I cut off man and beast from it, though these 3 men were in it, as I live, says the Adonai, they shall deliver neither sons nor daughter, but they only shall be delivered themselves. If I send a pestilence into that land and pour out my fury upon it in blood, to cut it off, to cut from it man and beast, though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, says the Adonai, they shall deliver neither son nor daughter. They shall but deliver their own souls by their righteousness. For thus says the Adonai, how much more when I send my 4 sword judgments upon Jerusalem, the sword and the famine and the noisome beast and the pestilence, to cut off from it man and beast.
All right. So, even if these holy chosen individuals were there, they would not be able to redeem it. So how are other nations able to redeem Israel without Yahweh's input? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 30.
It says, chapter 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, says Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. That walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt.
Right. So Yahweh brings forth punishment, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go somewhere else. Well, then we have to then ask ourselves. So when other ethnicities of people ended up in other lands, we have to ask, how did you get there? Did you just go there yourself? Otherwise, then we should be able to find some event that pushed you there. Go ahead.
Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. For his princes were at Zoan, and his ambassadors came to Hanes. They were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them, nor be in help nor profit, but a shame, and also a reproach. The burden of the beast of the south, into the land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the young and old lion, the viper and fiery flying serpent. They will carry their riches upon the shoulders of young asses, and their treasures upon the bunches of camels, to a people that shall not profit them. For the Egyptians shall help in vain.
The Egyptians shall help in vain. Go ahead.
And to no purpose. Therefore have I cried concerning this. Their strength is to sit still.
Their strength is to sit still. You're not going to get any help from these other nations. They can try. You can run down now, but it's not going to help you. So then I ask, how does other individuals or a country or a state, how do you receive anything from another nation or from other nations without Yahweh's input? Go ahead.
Now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever. That this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of Yahweh, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits.
Right. This is how we teach people how to rule over us. We don't want a true prophecy. What we want is to hear how rich God wants us to be, how lovely our life is going to be. We want personal prophecies. We want that personal prayer package. That's what we want. How many of us in jail now for them PPP loan? Okay. That personal prayer package.
That's something.
Right. That's all we want to hear. We want to hear that good thing. So then when we get an individual before us that's telling us the truth about something, oh no, now we want to avoid that individual. That person that's telling you them smooth lies, they don't have no love for you. Because they helping, they hand walking you to the lake of fire. And telling you it's all right the whole time they walking you to the lake of fire. The person who is uncomfortable in your face telling you, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Man, you always make stuff difficult when I see you. Okay. Well, won't you go on with your little hell friend? Matter of fact, go and put your gasoline drawers on. And go on over there and go jump in that lake of fire. We're going to hear you when you hit it. We're going to hear you. We're going to hear you when you hit it. So you want the people who agree with you all day? Or you want the people that are going to fight with you to try to keep you out that fire? They're the people that love you. See, this is why we got it twisted. We think the people that agree with us love you. The people that agree with you, they don't love you. The people that will call you out on your stuff, them the people that love you. Them the people that's helping to keep you out that lake of fire. A yes man or a yes woman serves no purpose. That is lukewarm water. And some of us can't even understand why we got the woman that we got. Man, you know, man, she be tripping. Because you be tripping. He picked you out or she be tripping. To match with your you be tripping. That way y'all don't be falling. She just tripping the other way from where you tripping. That's why y'all don't be falling. She can't trip just like you. She got to trip different from you. If she tripped the same way, y'all both on the floor. Go ahead.
You know, brother, in verse 3 it says, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. That's the biggest confusion we got now with our people on this Egyptology thing. You know, we were kings and queens when we was in Egypt.
Yeah, man. We love that right there. That really tickles our fancy that we was all kings and queens, and they love this Egyptology thing, man. And you know, one of the things I found interesting is the guys that deal with that cosmology. Oh, they can get any number and go into the skies, and I can tell you, I can prophesy anything about your life based on the numbers. Give me the number. What was the day you was born? Give me the man, bruh. Come on, bruh. Come on, man. I really ain't got time for this, man. Go ahead.
But you know, then he goes to verse 5. Say, they were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them. Well, you can't profit Egypt. Them people ain't coming to help nobody here.
Right.
We're no profit to them.
None whatsoever. And man, look, ain't nobody interested in knowing the truth. Look, you have collusion when it come down to that. These people who are parading themselves as Egyptians, they don't want to hear no truth. That ain't them. You know. So you know the collusion is the Gentiles let them tell the lie. And they agree not to bust the Gentiles out on their lie. I'll let you tell your lie if you let me tell my lie. Now let me tell the whole world that we are the Egyptians. And we won't tell them that you not the Israelites. All right? Bet on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bet. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Get you out of the way. Turn aside out of the path. Cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Wherefore thus says the Holy One of Israel, because you despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon, therefore this lawlessness shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking comes suddenly at an instant. And he shall break it as the breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, so that there shall not be found in the bursting of it a sherd to take fire from the hearth, or to take water withal out of the pit. For thus says the Adonai, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and rest shall you be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and you would not. But you said, no, for we will flee upon horses. Therefore shall you flee, and we will ride upon the swift. Therefore shall they that pursue you be swift.
So the faster you run, the faster he make the people who chasing you. The stronger you get, the stronger he let them get. So how somebody else redeem you from a punishment that Yahweh put you on? Only thing I have to conclude is that Yahweh didn't put you on a punishment. That's what I conclude from the facts that are here. Because according to this, if he puts you on, no one else can take you off. So how are you able to receive redemption money? Go ahead.
1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one. At the rebuke of 5 shall you flee, till you be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain, and as an ensign on an hill. And therefore will Yahweh wait, that he may be gracious unto you, and therefore will he be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you, for Yahweh is a El of judgment. Blessed are all they that wait for him. For the people shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem. You shall weep no more. He will be very gracious unto you at the voice of your cry. When he shall hear it, he will answer you. And though the Adonai give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not your teachers be removed into a corner any more, but your eyes shall see your teachers. And your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, this is the way, walk you in it, when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left.
Boy, that's going to be amazing. Some of us need that little man. That little man. But boy, don't go down there. We're going to argue with the man. You know what? Get in my pocket. I need you to get off my shoulder right now. I'm trying to do something. I don't want you to see this. Go ahead.
You shall defile also the covering of your graven images of silver, and the ornament of your molten images of gold. You shall cast them away as a menstruous cloth. You shall say unto it, get you hence. Then shall he give the rain of your seed, that you shall sow the ground withal, and bread of increase of the earth, and it shall be fat and plenteous. In that day shall your cattle feed in large pastures.
Jump to verse 26.
Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold as the light of 7 days, in the day that Yahweh binds up the breach of his people and heals the stroke of their wounds.
So in the day that Yahweh heals the children of Israel, the sun is going to be 7 times hotter. Maybe it's starting to heat up, because this is why they have these creepy clouds, and they keep spraying them to try to block the sun. Even when you look at it, you're like, okay, it ain't even that hot right now. Why they still spraying? Well, the damage that they done caused, certain rays getting through. Even when it ain't hot to us, it must be burning somebody else. It must be setting some other stuff on fire, because there's an all-out plan to completely block the sun. There are companies that was doing solar powered homes, those panels. Hey man, you know some of them got out when I stopped doing it. Why, man? They can't find the sun. You done spent $30,000 getting solar panels, and now you can't find the sun. We can stand in the middle of the street and look up and can't find the sun. Oh, why? What's happening? It's heating up. It's heating up. So their answer is to try to spray these things that reflect the heat back into the atmosphere. So now, eventually, as the sun keeps heating and you reflect its heat back at it, what it's going to do? This is where it might get interesting, because now you might piss off the strongest energy source that we've ever seen, and you just sent its energy back at it. This is the game that they're playing.
You know, on that same token, like you say, these atmospheric things are changing. No, you know, there's a time that they could predict and tell you hurricanes are coming, it's going to be this and that. 2 days ago, one side of Jamaica got hit with a hurricane that nobody knew was coming. And they're talking about the climate change, and
right.
This thing just came out of nowhere.
Right. That was that stuff that Trump said didn't exist, didn't it? He said, "Well, no such thing as climate change." And now this stuff pop up so quick. You know, even the storms are more violent. All of that, everything has gotten worse. But you know, you can't have it both ways. Whenever you're in charge and things get bad, you have to take ownership of that. These people all talking about everybody else. No. Hold on, man. Who did this ruin happen under? Ain't you in charge? Come on, Mr. Bob Dabalino. I'm gonna need you to go ahead and take responsibility for mucking up my God's earth. Ain't you the one in charge? Ain't this under your watch? The book of Daniel talks about the times of the Gentiles, so it talks about who's ruling at this point. Well, then all this ruin is under your hand. I'm sorry, Mr. Bob. But you're going to have to own this one. This one here's yours. I done seen a brother mess up a party, but I ain't never seen a brother mess up an earth. Go ahead, brother.
That was at verse 26.
All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 42. That's why we keep seeing all these movies and they jumping on the spaceship and they got to go to another planet. Why? Because they know they done mucked up this one. And every last one of them, they going to another planet and they going to steal its resources until they get all that resources and then they got to go to another planet. And if you examine what that is or how that operates, that's how virus operates.
Yes, sir.
It just goes, sucks up all of the resources, and then it goes somewhere else to look for resources. Because there's no more resources available in that place. So it's got to look for something else to infect. Jeremiah 42, start that at verse 10.
If you will still abide in this land, then will I build you, and not pull you down, and I'll plant you, and not pluck you up. For I repent me of the evil that I have done unto you. Be not afraid of the king of Babylon, of whom you are afraid. Be not afraid of him, says Yahweh, for I am with you to save you and to deliver you from his hand. And I'll show mercies unto you, that you may have mercy upon you, and cause you to return to your own land.
Now, be not afraid. Accept the punishment that I'm giving unto you. Don't accept from somebody else. You only accept the help that comes from me. They don't have the right to redeem you. You're seeking redemption from a place that you should not be looking for it. Go ahead.
But if you say, we will not dwell in this land, neither obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, saying, no, but we will go into the land of Egypt, where we will see no war, nor hear the sound of the trumpet, nor have hunger of bread, and there will we dwell. And now therefore hear the word of Yahweh, you remnant of Yehudah. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the El of Israel, if you wholly set your face to enter into Egypt and go to sojourn there, then it shall come to pass that the sword which you feared shall overtake you there in the land of Egypt, and the famine whereof you were afraid shall follow close after you there in Egypt, and there you shall die.
Right. So when Yahweh puts the punishment on you, when you go, the punishment follow you.
So you know what? I'm packing up. I'm out of this place. This is a mess right here. Every time I do something, it's always a mess. You pack up. I'm out of here, Jack.
And then you get the way you going, and the curse be like, hey, man, I was been looking for you. Who you again? I'm your curse. Hey, you know you can't go nowhere without me, right? You know you always have to buy 2 tickets, one for me and one for you. Give it a little time, them problems show up right there. You ain't gonna run from me. The earth and the fullness therein belongs to Yahweh. He says, where you gonna go? It's like when you're dealing with a kid, man, you know the kid, got this little baby brain that ain't been formed yet. And the kid want to be out of this situation, so the kid just cover their eyes. And in their mind, you are no longer there because they can't see you. So somehow you have disappeared. That's about how stupid it is to run from Yahweh. All you did was close your eyes. Go ahead and open them. He's still there. Go ahead, brother. Did you finish that up?
So shall it be with all the men that set their faces to go into Egypt to sojourn there. They shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, and none of them shall remain or escape from the evil that I'll bring upon them.
All right, let's go to chapter 25. Jeremiah chapter 25. See, sometimes we end up asking the wrong questions. Sometimes we're trying to prove who we are, and sometimes we need to prove who somebody's not. And then how do you do that? You just go into this book and see what does Yahweh say about certain situations. Jeremiah chapter 25, and let's start at verse 8.
Therefore thus says Yahweh of hosts, because you have not heard my words, behold, I'll send and take all the families of the north, says Yahweh, and Nebuchadrezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and will bring them against this land, and against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them, and make them an astonishment, and an hissing, and perpetual desolation.
So, Nebuchadrezzar, when you talk about the king of Babylon, these are wicked individuals. He said that this is my servant. Sometimes you hire somebody to do a job. That's your servant. They're not a long-term servant. We might hire somebody to, like clean out the brush in the back. They are a servant for that time that we paid for that individual service. So Yahweh has a service. You know what? Look, man, you just so happen to like going to war and destroying people. You know what? I got some people who don't like to listen. Let me contract out your destruction services. I need you to go demolish something for me. And this is what I'm going to pay you to demolish this area. Why would somebody do that? Every person who's ever owned a home and said that they were going to flip that house or they were going to do something, they brought in a demo crew. It's a totally different crew. Normally the demo crew, these are people who are just very good at demolishing. They are absolutely skilled in tearing things up. They know exactly how to tear it up, but still leave the foundation so that it can be rebuilt. I mean, any fool can just swing a hammer. But it takes a skilled individual to know, no, not this down, but not this. That is a retaining wall. Don't knock that down. Knock this down, knock that down, knock this down. That is part of the foundation. Don't knock that down. So Yahweh hires a demolition crew to come and knock Israel down. But he knows what not to knock down, so that he always has the ability to rebuild it. Go ahead.
Moreover, I'll take from them the voice of mirth, and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones, and the light of the candle. And this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. And it shall come to pass, when 70 years are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, says Yahweh, for their lawlessness.
Now check this out. So Yahweh will put a nation over Israel as punishment, then deal with the nation for what they've done to Israel. Because after all, they did touch the apple of his eye. Good.
And the land of the Chaldeans, and will make it perpetual desolations. And I'll bring upon that land all my words which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah has prophesied against all the nations. For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I'll recompense them according to their deeds, and according to the works of their own hands.
So many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them. Now, we have to look at the current conditions that we're seeing. We're seeing a multitude of nations helping the state of Israel. Yahweh says the multitude of nations are going to be serving themselves of Israel. That's the exact opposite of what we're seeing. So either we're reading this wrong or we're looking at the incorrect people thinking that they're Israel. Something has to be different here. Go ahead.
You know, brother, even just in the slave trade here, if we were to go back and ask one of our ancestors about Mass and say, well, what nation's he of? We wouldn't know. All I ain't gonna tell you is a white man.
There you go. And they wouldn't be able to tell you if one of them was Jewish or not. They wouldn't be able to tell you. Well, he was white with a hat.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how we ain't gonna know the difference. That was the thing they got mad at Whoopi Goldberg for. She said if somebody else wanted to hide their nationality, all they had to do was take off their cover.
Mm-hmm.
She said there's absolutely nothing that I can remove from me that you will not know what I am. Go ahead.
For thus says Yahweh Elohim of Israel unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send you to drink it. And they shall drink and be moved and be mad because of the sword that I will send among them. Then took I the cup at Yahweh's hand and made all the nations to drink unto whom Yahweh had sent me.
Mm-hmm.
To wit, Jerusalem and the cities of Yehuda and the kings thereof and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation and astonishment and hissing and a curse as it is this day. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and his servants and his princes and all his people and all the mingled people and all the kings of the land of Uz and all the kings of the land of the Philistines and Ashkelon and Asa and Ekron and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom and Moab and the children of Ammon and all the kings of Tyrus and all the kings of Zidon and the kings of the isles which are beyond the sea, Dedan and Tema and Buz and all them that are in the utmost corners, and all the kings of Arabia and all the kings of the mingled people that dwell in the desert, and all the kings of Zimri and all the kings of Elam and all the kings of the Medes, and all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world which are upon the face of the earth, and the king of Shishak shall drink after them. Therefore you shall say unto them, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the El of Israel, drink you, and be drunken, and spew, and fall, and rise no more, because of the sword which I will send among you. And it shall be, if they refuse to take the cup at your hand to drink, then shall you say unto them, thus says Yahweh of hosts, you shall certainly drink. For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name, and should you be utterly unpunished, you shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the earth, says Yahweh of hosts. Therefore prophesy you against them all these words, and say unto them, Yahweh shall roar from on high, and utter his voice from his holy habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout, as they that tread the grapes, against all the inhabitants of the earth.
So Yahweh is going to deal with his people, but he's also going to deal with the nations. The nations shall not escape this dealing with. See, when Daddy show up, he deal with everybody involved. So you can tell when Daddy come home and all the rest of the kids like, ooh, you finna get a whooping. Daddy about to get you. And they sit back and get ready to laugh. And then he turned toward them and said, now I expected you to take care of this because you were supposed to be a person who knew better. Now it's time for your whooping. Now ain't no more laughing. Let's go to Exodus chapter 22. The nation shall not escape this. So they have all had their hand in this pot. See that same global economy that they deal with? Oh, it was built on the backs of slaves. They're still trading from it right now to this day. How can they not pay? They have made great income off of it. America's whole system of getting money is borrowing money based on the future workload of their people. We are traded as commodities. So the other nations are all in this system. So whether or not they actually enslaved us, they are now dealing with the commerce that derived from it. So they had already put themselves into the system. Daddy come and gets everybody involved. Exodus chapter 22, and we're going to read verses 1 through 15.
If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him, for he should make full restitution. If he have nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft.
All right, so now we're talking about the wrongs being righted in a way that you have to offer financial restitution for the harm that was caused. And Yahweh said he's going to get everybody involved. Go ahead.
If the theft be certainly found in his hand alive, whether it be ox or ass or sheep, he shall restore double. If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, and shall feed in another man's field, of the best of his own field and of the best of his own vineyard shall he make restitution.
You shall make restitution from the best of yours. Okay? So that you understand where Yahweh is getting the basis of how he's going to deal with the nations. He's going to deal out of his own law, so it's important that you know what it is. Go ahead.
If fire break out and catch in thorns, so that the stacks of corn or the standing corn or the field be consumed therewith, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. If the thief be not found, then the master of the house shall be brought unto the judges to see whether he have put his hand unto his neighbor's goods. For all manner of trespass, whether it be for ox, for ass, for sheep, for raiment, or for any manner of lost thing, which another challenged to be his, the cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whom the judges shall condemn, he shall pay double unto his neighbor. If a man deliver unto his neighbor an ass or an ox or a sheep, or any beast to keep, and it die, or be hurt, or driven away, no man seeing it, then shall an oath of Yahweh be between them both, that he has not put his hand unto his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept thereof, and he shall not make it good. And if it be stolen from him, he shall make restitution unto the owner thereof. If it be torn in pieces, then let him bring it for witness, and he shall not make good that which was torn. And if a man borrow aught of his neighbor, and it be hurt or die, the owner thereof being not with it, he shall surely make it good. But if the owner thereof be with it, he shall not make it good. If it be an hired thing, it came for his hire.
All right. Brother, I want you to read the note behind that.
And the principle, the property itself, if it's still remaining, or its full value, to which a fifth part more was to be added, to compensate the owner for the loss he had sustained by being deprived of the use of his goods, he must also bring a trespass offering to Yahweh.
Now, how do you compensate for the lack of use of your own body? There has to be restitution for that. Correct?
Which was intended to show that disobedience to Elohim is the great evil, even of those crimes which are injurious to man, and that repentance and even restitution, though needful in order to obtain forgiveness, cannot atone for sin.
You still have to then deal with your atonement with Yahweh. So then the nations have an issue that has to be dealt with. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 6. See, a whole lot of people who have been singing, that whole God is love thing, they finna be really, really thrown off at the return of Yahshua. Because they getting ready for a love fest. They done bought their flowers, they done lit their candles, they got their wine, they got Luther Vandross playing. Woo, 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 woo. They getting ready for love. And he coming for war. Leviticus chapter 6, let's read verses 1 through 7.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, If a soul sin and commit a trespass against Yahweh, and lie unto his neighbor in that which was delivered him to keep, or in fellowship, or in a thing taken away by violence, or has deceived his neighbor, or have found that which was lost, and lies concerning it, and swears falsely, in any of all these that a man does, sinning therein, then it shall be, because he has sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away, or the thing which he has deceitfully gotten, or that which was delivered him to keep, or the lost thing which he found, or all that about which he has sworn falsely, he shall even restore it in the principal, and shall add the fifth part more thereto, and give it unto him to whom it appertains in the day of his trespass offering. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto Yahweh, a ram without blemish out of the flock, with your estimation, for a trespass offering unto the priest. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before Yahweh, and it shall be forgiven him for anything of all that he has done in trespassing therein.
All right. So when we consider that restitution has to be something that has to be dealt with, we have to think about the things that we might have said about one another in the presence of another individual. Now, that one statement may have caused someone to be robbed of their good name because of how we felt at that particular moment. Now consider that the way we felt was based on incomplete or inaccurate information. How do you make that right and add the fifth part thereto? One of the things I want you to do, brother, read the note right here, because as we're dealing with this restitution, and Yahweh is talking about how he is not going to allow no man shall buy you, no man shall redeem you. But the law says that a man may be able to redeem his near of kin. So read the note here at graphic 22.
Germany has paid compensation and restitution for decades. The compensation payment slated for 2024 eclipses the more than 1.2 billion Germany agreed to pay in 2023.
So what we're dealing with now is the restitution that is being paid to the state of Israel. All right. So then keep reading.
German reparation payments total some 82 billion euros for 2022. Around 1.44 billion euro is paid from the federal budget each year for pension and care costs of victims of Nazi persecution, many of whom live in Israel. As the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum notes, 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust.
All right, this is according to their information. Go ahead.
Along with millions more civilians and soldiers from the former Soviet Union. The people who were Polish, Serbian, or from the Roma minority. The Nazis also orchestrated the wholesale murders of people with disabilities and homosexuals.
Now, Priest Kish just showed me one of the things that Congress rejected, a $17 billion proposal to send more money to Israel. So we're already getting into a lot of this money that's being received. But Yahweh had a serious thing. No man shall redeem you from this. You got to go and finish out all of the punishments that I put you through during exile. Go ahead.
The Claims Conference has been pursuing reparations from the German government since 1951.
Now, folks starting to talk about that they wouldn't even allow the conversation about reparations for us, but there's been reparations since 1951 for other individuals. Go ahead.
When it was founded by a coalition of Jewish organizations and has secured more than $90 billion in payments.
90 billion would it be? Go ahead.
A decade ago, the Claims Conference was rocked by a fraud scandal in which insiders of the New York-based group were charged with siphoning money and creating thousands of bogus claims. Justice Department officials said that it was the Claims Conference itself that brought the fraud to the attention of the FBI in 2009.
Now, I always wondered, and I don't know if this is connected, but you have all of this money that's going for these victims. I thought it was interesting. I don't know why it was illegal to do a DNA search in Israel. It's kind of interesting when you put that together. Like, why is that illegal? So there's like rape, murder, pillage, DNA. Huh? I don't see how that works. But that's just rather interesting. Just put that in there. Go ahead.
3 months ago, Biden asked for $105 billion for Ukraine and Israeli war efforts.
Now, do understand now we as individuals are paying for this. So the very people who had us work for free and build an entire system, now we're allowed to work in the system that we built, and now money then comes out of our money to then pay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Since the 1960s, the United States has been a very strong supporter of Israel. It has played a key role in the promotion of good relations between Israel and its neighboring Arab states, namely Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, along with several others in the 2020 Abraham Accords, while also holding off hostility from other Middle Eastern countries such as Syria and Iran.
Right, and they'll show you at any given point. They say, oh, somebody from there did something on one of our bases. So then in the middle of a conflict that Israel has going on, America will turn around and just bomb some Iranian stuff right off the rip. So they know, it's like that one kid who know he got his big brother on the playground. He's a terror. Because he's like, look, ain't nobody over here can beat my brother. Nobody. So he's absolutely, he doesn't learn manners. He doesn't learn how to play fair. He doesn't learn how to play nice. He doesn't learn how to do anything. He wants the ball at all times. He wants everything to go his way. And if you don't, then I'm calling my big brother. And my big brother don't ask no questions. He just swing. I point, my big brother swing. My big brother is very big. He's strong, but he's stupid. He do what I tell him to do. Although he my big brother. Go ahead.
Relations with Israel are a very important factor in the U.S. government's overall foreign policy in the Middle East. And the U.S. Congress has likewise placed considerable importance on the maintenance of a close and supportive relationship. Total U.S. foreign aid to Israel compared to other countries, 1946 to 2022. Israel is the largest cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign aid. Until February 2022, the United States had provided Israel U.S. $150 billion, non-inflation adjusted, in bilateral assistance. In 1999...
Now Yahweh says, I'm going to deal with you and no man shall redeem you. Now you got to start adding up all these billions and millions you're getting every few years. The contract with Germany gets redone. So at one point they were getting 1.2 million, then 1.3 million, then 1.4 billion. This is per year. That is completely separate from all of the billions that come from the United States. Go ahead.
In 1999, the U.S. government signed a memorandum of understanding through which it committed to providing Israel with at least U.S. $2.67 billion in military aid annually.
Now, this is a memorandum of understanding. It's a memorandum of no understanding, according to what I'm looking at. With at least $2.6 billion in military aid annually. That's every year. So now, just in two countries, we got 1.4 billion, and then we have 2.67 billion. But wait, there's more. Keep going.
For the following 10 years. In 2009, the annual amount was raised to U.S. $3 billion.
Okay.
And in 2019, the amount was raised again, now standing at a minimum of U.S. $3.8 billion.
So then if we just go back 1 year, we have the latest amount, 3.8 billion, Germany 1.4. Two countries. This is annually. This is without doing a thing. This is without lifting a finger. This is you just wake up and it's there. But Yahweh says, when I put this weight on you, no man shall redeem you. In the day that I heal the stroke of your wound, I'm going to make the sun 7 times hotter. So, if this is happening legally according to Scripture, it should be extremely hot right now. Go ahead.
That the U.S. is committed to providing Israel each year. Since 1972, the United States has also extended loan guarantees.
Okay, wait, there's more. Go ahead.
A form of indirect U.S. assistance to Israel, as they enable Israel to borrow from commercial U.S. banks at lower rates.
Wait a minute. If your brother be waxing poor, because I mean, come on. I mean, what's like $5 billion a year? I mean, that's barely making it, right? Like, I mean, what can you get these days off $5 billion? I mean, my God, the price of wheat. What does the law say? If you're gonna help your brother, then you help your brother, and you shall not charge him interest. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe this is our problem and we're not understanding that is their brother. But if that's their brother, how can they be Israel? Go ahead.
To Israel to assist with housing shortages, Israel's absorption of new Jewish immigrants and its economic recovery following the 2000 to 2003 recession.
Wow, America paying for that? Go ahead.
Caused in part by the second
Intifada.
Intifada.
Yep.
Moreover, the United States is Israel's largest trading partner, and Israel is the United States' 25th largest trading partner.
So wait a minute. So you give them money, then they create stuff and then sell it back to you. The stuff that they made from your money. And we thought Nipsey was hustler. Go ahead.
Two-way trade totals some $36 billion in 2013. Bilateral trade increased to nearly $50 billion by 2023. In addition to financial and military aid, the United States also provides large-scale political support to Israel, having used its United Nations Security Council veto power 42 times against resolutions condemning Israel.
Right. You don't have the right to say anything to them, but they have the right to defend themselves, but you do not have the right to say anything against them, and they use that power to veto anything that somebody comes up with. But
out of a total 83 times in which its veto has ever been used. Between 1991 and 2011, out of the 24 vetoes invoked by the United States, 15 were used to protect Israel. The United States' readiness to stand on behalf of Israel has, among other factors, been linked to the influence of Zionist lobbies in U.S. politics, most notably AIPAC. Bilateral relations have evolved from an initial American policy of sympathy and support for the creation of a Jewish homeland in 1948 to a partnership that links a small but powerful Israeli state with an American superpower attempting to balance influence against other competing interests in the region, namely those of Russia and its allies. Some analysts maintain that Israel is a strategic ally for the United States and that relations with the former will strengthen the latter's influence in the Middle East.
In other words, Israel is United States arm in the so-called Middle East. So it is used to do things that only someone in that area could get away with doing. Go ahead.
Israel is designated by the United States as a major non-NATO ally.
Stop. That is very interesting because you deal with this whole thing about this NATO situation. They're not even NATO. They get all of this. They're not a part of NATO. So in other words, you're going to basically make yourself liable, but we're not going to make ourselves liable. Now that is interesting. Now that's what you call some shrewd business deals right there, Jack. Now you liable to help me. You liable to make sure that I get 3.8 billion in military stuff. I got to have the greatest everything in the region. But I ain't really saying that I'm gonna help you though. I'm not really saying that we together. I mean, we just friends with benefits. I mean, you can spend the weekend, but you got to go. I'm talking about, you got to go. Go ahead.
But isn't that the thing with Ukraine? They were trying to get into NATO.
Yeah, and it started the whole thing.
But then Vladimir Zelensky is what?
Jewish.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you got, think about the billions that's going there. That was just 105 billion that old boy wanted to send to basically to Ish.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And was the first country to be granted this status alongside Egypt in 1987. Israel and Egypt remain the only countries in the Middle East to have this designation. Then Senator Jesse Helms argued that the military foothold offered by Israel in the region alone justified the expense of American military aid, referring to Israel as America's aircraft carrier in the Middle East.
That's a very, very heavy statement right there. And these are things that we are reading, by the way. This not our words. Keep going.
As of 2021, the United States remains the only permanent member of the United Nations Security Council to have recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Wait a minute. We hear certain things so much that we just take it for granted. Read that again.
As of 2021, the United States remains the only permanent member of the United Nations Security Council to have recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and moved its embassy to the disputed city from Tel Aviv in 2018. The United States is also the only country to have recognized the Golan Heights, designated as Israeli-occupied Syrian territory by the United Nations, as non-occupied Israeli sovereign territory, doing so via a presidential proclamation under the Trump administration in 2019.
Now that's power, where you can get, whatever president that come in to justify any area that you have secured and say that belongs to you. That is power. But Yahweh said that no man was going to be able to redeem you. Yahweh said that nobody else is going to be able to do this. Yahweh said, I'm going to do this. Yahweh said, I will not give my glory unto another. If America doing it, then America get the glory. Go ahead.
However, under the subsequent Biden administration, the U.S. State Department's annual report on human rights violations around the world once more refers to the West Bank, Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights as territories that are occupied by Israel. Nevertheless, in June 2021, in response to a claim by the Washington Free Beacon that it had walked back its recognition, the Near Eastern Affairs account of the U.S. State Department tweeted that U.S. policy regarding the Golan has not changed, and reports to the contrary are false.
So when you can get nations to go back and forth, this is a lot of power, especially a lot of power for someone who is supposed to be receiving all of it from Yahweh. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 42. So we have to highlight the disparity between what Yahweh has said and the things that are taking place. I couldn't even count all that money, by the way. That was just that was just. It was a lot of different money coming from a lot of different areas. All right. So just by 2 countries, we're up to like 5 billion per year. Then you're talking about the trade and 30 billion. Then you're talking about the low interest loans. Now, how are other countries being taken over? By high interest loans. But this particular situation ends up getting a very low cost loan. So then there's an automatic way of funding business. So when people talk about how much prosperity there is, yes, if you have access to low cost loans, then anybody starts a business. Everybody gets to start a business. So you know what? I got this idea. All right, well, here go $1 million. Go do it. And if you borrow that in the business name and you didn't have to set up business credit, if you don't succeed, you are still not liable. The business borrowed that money. Everybody got a gang. They just won't let us in. Okay. Isaiah chapter 42. Let's start that at verse 1.
Behold my servant, whom I uphold, mine elect, in whom my soul delights. I have put my spirit upon him. He shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles.
He shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles. This is talking about this is talking about Christ. Now, the Mashiach is going to bring this judgment. So while everybody else is getting ready for a love fest, he's bringing righteous judgment upon the earth. Go ahead.
He shall not cry, nor lift up, nor cause his voice to be heard in the street. A bruised reed shall he not break, and the smoking flax shall he not quench. He shall bring forth judgment unto truth. He shall not fail, nor be discouraged, till he have set judgment in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his law. Thus says Elohim, Yahweh, he that created the heavens and stretched them out, he that spread forth the earth, and that which comes out of it, he that gives breath unto the people upon it, and spirit to them that walk therein. I, Yahweh, have called you in righteousness, and will hold your hand, and will keep you, and give you for a covenant of the people, for a light of the Gentiles.
Now, you're supposed to be a light unto the Gentile. All right? That Yahweh is going to cause Yahshua to push these things. So, how is that alliance already there if Christ has not returned? Go ahead.
To open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. I am Yahweh, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another.
Wait a minute. If America is doing all of this, if Germany is doing all of this, how is Yahweh getting the glory? He says, I will not give my glory unto another. He says, I am going to redeem you. For then the whole earth will know that I, Yahweh, is the one who led you into captivity. I ain't letting nobody else pay your bond. Go ahead.
Neither my praise to graven images. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them.
Here we go. Now we got a problem. Before the former things are come to pass, and the new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. So then, if there is this great event that has befallen his people, why can't we find it? Because Yahweh says, I declare it from the beginning. I already told you the ending. I can find everything about our captivity in here. There's not one instance about our captivity that I cannot find. And I'm talking about it covers every captivity that our people have been in. Go ahead.
Sing unto Yahweh a new song, and his praise from the end of the earth. You that go down to the sea, and all that is therein, the isles and the inhabitants thereof. Let the wilderness and the cities thereof lift up their voice, the villages that Kedar does inhabit. Let the inhabitants of the rocks sing. Let them shout from the top of the mountains. Let them give glory unto Yahweh and declare his praise in the islands. Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. I have long time holden my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. I'll make waste mountains and hills and dry up all their herbs. And I will make the rivers islands, and I'll dry up the pools. And I'll bring the blind by a way that they knew not. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them, and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them, and not forsake them. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed, that trust in graven images, that say to the molten image, you are our gods. Hear, you deaf, and look, you blind, that you may see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messengers that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as Yahweh's servant? Seeing many things, but you observeth not. Opening the ears, he hears not. Yahweh is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the law and make it honorable. But this is a people robbed and spoiled.
This is a people that have billions of dollars. Go ahead.
They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses.
These are the people that have mansions and summer homes and winter homes. What is it? Come on, man. We got to rewrite this. What? We need to debunk this book too. Wait a minute. These people hid in prison houses. Now, if I open the prison, I have to ask myself, what ethnicity am I going to see? See, the very things that people use to speak down upon you, if you know the right scripture, the very things that they use. And instead of you don't know what to argue with. So you're trying to come back with something else. No. So when they point out, all that crime those black people do, Yahweh says that his people are hid in prison houses. What does he say about your people? I bet that changed the argument. Go ahead.
And they are for a prey, and none delivers. For a spoil,
Wait a
and
minute.
none says restore.
Wait a minute, none delivers. This is what he says when it has something to do with his people. So who's delivering these other people? Because Yahweh said none says deliver you. This is what Yahweh says. So I don't know where all these billions are coming from, and I don't know who they're going to, but wherever they're coming from, they ain't coming from his people, and wherever they're going to, they can't be going to his people either. Go ahead.
And none says restore, but in 1948, what happened?
Hey, I'm just going by what's written here.
Okay.
I didn't write the book. I'm just reading it. And the events don't match up. So then that causes me to put forth a question. How are you receiving these things? Because Yahweh is clearly talking about in the beginning of this chapter, Christ being connected to this. How do you have that and you don't even believe that there is a Christ? Not only is he not here, but you don't believe that he is he. Go ahead.
Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who gave Yaakov for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Did not Yahweh, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. Therefore he has poured upon him the fury of his anger and the strength of battle, and it has set him on fire round about. Yet he knew not, and it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart.
Right. So who gave Yaakov for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Yahweh. So how you gonna undo what the creator of all things has done? Let's go to chapter 48. Isaiah chapter 48. How you gonna undo it? Who gave the nations these powers? So then when we try to get some reparations and it don't work out, we get upset. Yeah, them folk being all prejudiced. They being anti-Semitic. How that's Yahweh's doing? And we knew if we got $1 billion and still was here, we'd give all the money back, and we know it. We buy 1 million chickens, but don't want us own a chicken joint. Go ahead, bro. Start at verse 1.
Hear you this, O house of Jacob, which are called by the name of Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Yehuda, which swear by the name of Yahweh, and make mention of the El of Israel, but not in truth nor in righteousness. For they call themselves of the holy city, and stay themselves upon the El of Israel. Yahweh of hosts is his name. I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. I did them suddenly, and they came to pass, because I knew that you are obstinate, and your neck is an iron sinew, and your brow brass. I have even from the beginning declared it to you. Before it came to pass, I showed it you.
Here we go. I have even from the beginning declared it to you. Before it came to pass, I showed it you. We should be able to look in the beginning of this book and see some things, but we are not seeing those. Go ahead.
Lest you should say, mine idol has done them, and my graven image, and my molten image has commanded them. You have heard, see all this, and will not you declare it? I have showed you new things from this time, even hidden things, and you did not know them. They are created now, and not from the beginning, even before the day when you heard them not. Lest you should say, behold, I knew them. Yea, you heard it not. Yea, you knew it not. Yea, from that time that your ear was not open. For I knew that you would deal very treacherously, and was called a transgressor from the womb. For my name's sake will I defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain for you, that I cut you not off. Behold, I have refrained you, but not with silver. I have chosen you in the furnace of affliction.
Hold on. Behold, I have refined you, but not with silver. I have chosen you in the furnace of affliction. So he didn't say he was going to pay your way and give you all this money to refine you. So whatever plan is going on in the earth and whatever is taking place, it don't have anything to do with Yahweh. Go ahead.
For mine own sake, even for mine own sake, will I do it. For how should my name be polluted, and I'll not give my glory unto another?
Here we go again. He will not give his glory unto another. If other nations are allowed to redeem you, if other nations are allowed to pave your way, if other nations are allowed to create a state for you, then the glory of that creation goes to them. That glory does not go unto the Elohim of our forefathers. And he's not giving his glory away. Go ahead.
Hearken unto me, O Jacob and Israel, my called. I am he. I am the first. I also am the last. Mine hand also has laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand has spanned the heavens. When I call unto them, they stand up together. All you, assemble yourselves and hear. Which among them has declared these things? Yahweh has loved him. He will do his pleasure on Babylon, and his arm shall be on the Chaldeans.
Right. Yahweh has loved the children of Israel. He has chosen Babylon as an independent contractor, if you will, to perform a service. But he shall be rightfully compensated for how he completed that service. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 60. See, there are servants, there are employees, and then there's Those independent contractors who are hired to do a job. But after that job, they must go back to wherever they came from. So some have gotten absolutely comfortable in believing that Yahweh has given them this right, that Yahweh has given them all of these things, and they don't really understand that they are independent contractors and this job is about up. Isaiah chapter 16, let's start that at verse 1.
Arise, shine, for your light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon you. For, behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall arise upon you, and his glory shall be seen upon you. And the Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Lift up your eyes round about, and see, all they gather themselves together, they come to you. Your sons shall come from far, and your daughters shall be nursed at your side.
Verse 3, and the Gentiles shall come to your light. Not that the Gentiles is going to be your light. Not the Gentiles shall buy you a light. They're going to come to your light. Go ahead.
Then you shall see and flow together, and your heart shall fare and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto you. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto you.
The abundance of the sea, this is the wealth of those nations. All right? The abundance of the sea shall be converted unto you. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto you. Right now, you have just a few countries doing everything for Israel. The rest of them do it for America. Go ahead.
The multitude of camels shall cover you. The dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, all they come from Sheba, shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the praises of Yahweh.
That's when Yahweh takes care of this business. Now the whole earth is going to have to deal with this controversy. Go ahead.
All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto you. The rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto you. They shall come up with acceptance on mine altar, and I'll glorify the house of my glory.
Now, half of the Arabians don't even respect the state that it's supposed to be there. Yahweh said the Arabian gonna come and show honor unto you. Go ahead.
Who are these that fly as a cloud, and as the doves to their windows? Surely the eyes shall wait for me, and the ships of Spain first, to bring your sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of Yahweh your Elohim, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified you.
Now, Yahweh gonna have to do some very glorifying if he's gonna have the ships of Spain, because you can't find more anger about us than them Spaniards. They understand what happened in their history. I just looked at a report where one of the soccer players was there and they shouting out stuff against him. And I'm talking whole coliseums chanting. We're talking about as the bus is pulling up. They're still doing that to this day. This is not, and people can tell you about the things that happened to them in the past. This stuff happened yesterday. And Yahweh said, oh, their ship's going to be the first ones. So we talking about the ones who have the biggest indignation against you. Yahweh going to make them move first. Wait a minute, they was the ones that was instrumental in spreading you. So then now we got to go ahead and ask then, these individuals who are already there, did you get here by Spanish ship? How you got here? What?
We don't consider that because, we hear the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Those are all Hispanic names. And, as much as they talk about Columbus, you dig deep enough, they say, no, there was slaves on them ships.
Yeah, man. The Yahweh said, I'm going to invite the inhabitants down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I'm going to deal with them for my people Israel. Now, all of them, even the ones who didn't have the physical part of the ship. Brother, they all divided the spoil from what came off that ship. Then they used that money to make more money, to make more money, they all got their hands in it. And he gonna deal with everybody. Go ahead.
And the sons of strangers shall build up your walls.
Because it's your time now. See? It's your time. See? After so many years of service, you get to be an elder, and then you get to advise in the work. He said, in this earth, your 18-year-old is going to be an elder. Why? Because of the servitude of his ancestors. All he shall have to do is say, no, put that wall over there. That's the extent of his work. That different work. That way. That's it. That's his work. Right there. Because somebody got to get paid for all this previous labor. The same way that their children inherited mansions and trust funds. Well, Yahweh's inheritance has to inherit something too. Go ahead.
And their kings shall minister unto you. For in my anger I smote you, but in my favor have I had mercy on you. Therefore your gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto you the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought.
Right. All the nations have made so much money off of the spoiling of Israel that they're going to have to bring a lot. It's something deep when you can't close your business because so much is coming in that you can't refuse the inventory. So the gate can't be closed because constantly something is coming in. Go ahead.
For the nation and kingdom that will not serve you shall perish, yea, those nations will be utterly wasted. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto you, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. And I'll make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted you shall come bending unto you.
Now, we have to figure out who this is. So, if it's those individuals, so will Germans come and be bending unto the people who are in the land? I'm asking. Or will Gentiles who have profited from the institution of slavery come on bended knee unto the true children of Israel? Unto whoever them Spanish ships gonna be returning. That's interesting. Correct?
And all they that despised you shall bow themselves down at the soles of your feet, and they shall call you the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas you have been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through you. I'll make you an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations.
Whereas you have been forsaken and hated. You're talking about this racism happens all over the earth. It's not just here in this land. Go ahead.
You shall also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breast of kings. And you shall know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Yaakov.
Right, it's their terms. For our people had to nurse other babies with their own breast milk. That's their turn. Go ahead.
For brass I'll bring gold, and for iron I'll bring silver.
Now, this is why you have to, why I tell people, you in how you do things, you're picking your own punishment, you're also picking your own reward. Where is he going to do this? For brass, I will bring gold. Now he going to look at it. All right, so when you had the opportunity, tell me what you brought to me again. Now, this is where he going to look at your records. He said, for brass, I'm going to bring gold. So then when you look up and other people got all of these things, now he going to go back. No, back up. Tell me again what you put in. Because see, I got your record right here. See, I can only multiply you based on what you put in. See, you put in nothing. This is why you got this. That's why they sitting on top of that hill and you're not. Why? Because you didn't bring nothing. Nothing from nothing equals nothing. Go ahead.
And for wood brass, and for stones iron, I will also make your officers peace, and your exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in your land, wasting nor destruction within your borders, but you shall call your walls salvation, and your gates praise. The sun shall be no more your light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto you. But Yahweh shall be unto you an everlasting light, and your Elohim your glory. Your sun shall no more go down, neither shall your moon withdraw itself. For Yahweh shall be your everlasting light, and the days of your mourning shall be ended.
The Holy Land gonna really be holy when the true children of Israel return. It is not gonna be like any other place on earth. I'm talking about that they said Disney is magical. No, you're about to see magical. Go ahead.
Your people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yahweh, will hasten it in his time.
I will do this. Yahweh says, I will not give my glory to another. No one else is going to redeem you. You can run to go down to Egypt. You can do all of these things. He's not going to give his glory away. No man shall buy you. No man shall redeem you. Because that is reserved for Yahweh. He shall redeem you. So that no one else will get the credit for this great thing that he is about to do. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.